You know what? Let me tell you what not to do, because I think that's going to resonate quite a bit better. These are 13 things that people with six packs do not do. 13 habits that they do not have. Let's go ahead and break it down. Look, if you survey and you look around at a lot of people that walk around relatively lean year-round and have six packs, you start to notice a common theme. And I've been able to narrow it down to 13 things. 13 things that I see are very, very common in people that walk around with six packs year-round. Now, doesn't matter what kind of diet, doesn't matter if they're keto, paleo, fasting, whatever. These are more lifestyle and training things that people implement, or they just have ingrained in their mind, and things that I have ingrained in my mind. So let's go ahead and jump in. First, do hit that red subscribe button down there in the corner, and then also hit that little bell icon so you never ever miss a beat. You're gonna have a solid understanding of little things that you can keep in your toolbox to keep you lean year-round. Okay, the first one that I wanna focus on, it's kind of a big one, is focusing too much on building muscle and not burning fat. And the reason I say this is because there are so many people in the fitness industry that will tell you that if you just build muscle, your metabolism will increase. Well, there is truth to that, of course. Muscle is important, but if you're only focusing on that, you're going to end up in a bad situation. Your body builds muscle via protein synthesis. You do not necessarily have to be in a caloric surplus to build muscle as far as protein synthesis is concerned. Now, to build muscle in the literal definition and to actually gain weight, yes, thermodynamics apply. You would have to consume excess amounts of calories. But we have to remember that the body has sort of a switch. It's called mTOR activation. And that is like when you work out, mTOR gets activated. It allows you to have more protein synthesis at that point in time. The point is, you don't need to constantly be in muscle building mode. You go through small periods of time where you're building muscle. So think of it like this. You have a bulk and you have a cut. But rather than having a 1 month or 2 month long bulking cycle and cutting cycle, you have a 2-hour bulking cycle and a 2-hour cutting cycle. Think of it in smaller scales. It makes a big difference. And I noticed that common theme with a lot of people. Number 2 is going to be snacking. Look at, I understand that eating every couple of hours has been ingrained in our minds as well, but there's a lot of evidence that points to the fact that if you were to just eat the same amount of calories as you would if you were snacking throughout the day and consolidate them into even 3 or 4 meals, you're going to have better results. Why? It comes down to insulin. If we never allow our insulin levels to get somewhat low, we don't allow glucagon to elevate. Glucagon is a hormone that helps elevate some of the fat-burning enzymes and fat-burning hormones within our body. So we need to give our bodies a break every now and then so that it can actually utilize endogenous lipids. We want our body to be able to know how to use the stored fat in our body, not constantly be dependent on eating every 2 hours. There was a cool study that was published in the journal Hepatology, and this is really awesome. They took 2 groups of lean individuals and they had them consume excess amount of calories. So they were on a hypercaloric diet. One group consumed the excess calories along with their meals, and the other group consumed the same amount of excess calories but spread out throughout the day as snacks in between meals. Well, guess what? Only the snacking group gained abdominal fat. Same amount of calories, but they snacked and they gained fat, whereas the group that ate more calories along with their meals didn't gain fat. That's kind of interesting, right? Now, to add notes to this, I would also say make sure you're eating protein. Protein is going to be very, very important along with these meals. If you're going to consume excess calories, you have a better chance of staying lean if those excess calories are coming from protein, because 20% of the protein that you consume, the energy from it, ends up going straight into the metabolism of protein altogether. So you're better off to overeat protein than anything else. Fun fact, there's a link down below if you want to check out where I get most of my protein via ButcherBox. So link down below if you want to check them out. They deliver grass-fed, grass-finished meat right to your doorstep. Super awesome, way more convenient than the grocery store. Big supporter of this channel, so I appreciate the heck out of them. But there's a special link down below if you want to go ahead and give them a try and get some meat delivered to your doorstep. So just fun fact. Number 3 is going to be relying on the gym too much. Okay, it's very easy to think that just because you went to the gym, you can be sedentary the rest of the day. It's very easy to think that way. That is one of the reasons why I ballooned up to close to 300 pounds. Okay, your 200 or 300 calorie workout at best in the gym, okay, sometimes better, but is not going to offset being on your butt all day. Okay, the amount of calories it takes simply to walk 3 minutes into Home Depot from the other side of the parking lot is actually quite nice. So you might as well just be active, because that's going to be the thing that keeps you the leanest. And again, when I look at people that stay lean year round, these are the kinds of things they do. They don't just rely on the gym. I'm okay if I miss the gym, because why? I'm still active, and the bulk of my calories are getting burned just by my lifestyle, not just by the artificial workout at the gym. Number 4 is a little bit of an obvious one, but that is sustainability. Okay, if you go into any kind of protocol to get abs or to get lean with just a short-term thought process in mind, you're not going to have success. I don't need to spend a lot of detail on this one. Okay, number 5. Okay, relying on the kitchen because abs are made in the kitchen. Okay, look it, I get it. I think I've even said it myself. Abs are more so made in the kitchen than they are in the gym. But if you were to take someone that's never worked out a day in their life and you were to put them on a very strict caloric deficit, yes, they'd get super lean, and yes, they'd have abs. But would A, they be functional abs, and B, would they actually look all that cool? Would they serve a purpose? And long term, are they going to be able to maintain that? The reason I say they're not going to be able to maintain that is because you're going to end up with a weaker back. You're going to end up with all kinds of diaphragmatic breathing issues where you don't really actually engage your abs properly. The point is, forget what these people say about not training your abs. Train your abs. It's important. They're not just made in the kitchen. They're also made in the gym whenever you activate particular muscles. You also need to remember, on the other side of this coin, we have to look at how we condition our cells, mitochondrial efficiency, mitochondrial health. Okay, so if we're trying to get lean and you're focusing just on just getting lean and showing your abs, you're not focusing on the long-term effect. Okay, I would rather you get leaner a little bit slower and be able to maintain it, because you actually condition the mitochondria to function properly. Simply starving your mitochondria and starving your cells for periods on end isn't going to get you the desired result long-term. Yes, you'll burn fat, but again, it's not sustainable. Number 6 is going to be too much in the way of isolated movements. This was my big problem. Okay, I was wondering why I was overweight, and I was wondering why, even though I went to the gym, I wasn't losing belly fat, I wasn't losing what I wanted to lose. Okay, sure, I actually built decent arms and shoulders and a chest, but that's not what I was really after. I wanted the muscle, but I wanted to be able to lean out. Well, I was focusing on isolating body parts. I wasn't doing compound movements, and I'm paying the price for it now. It's a lot harder for me to engage my full body, to allow my central nervous system to properly do its job, than it would have been if I just focused on doing full body movements way back then. Not only do you utilize more calories because you're moving the full body, but you have to remember something called the fascia. Okay, the fascia is the three-dimensional tissue that covers our whole body. Okay, and it makes it so that when you move your leg, you're properly engaging your core. When you move your arm, you're properly engaging your core and your hips. And yes, even your leg, because we are moving and we are fluid. Okay, if you train one body part, you're not getting that dynamic movement that you need. Okay, first of all, this is going to make a difference in how your abs look. But second of all, you will pay the price for it as early as 2 or 3 years down the line when you can't get proper range of motion. Remember, range of motion equals power. Okay, and power is going to equal more caloric output. Okay, so you're going to burn more calories, you're going to have a better physique if you can get through a solid range of motion and not be stuck in linear movements all the time. Now, within the same category too, number 7 is going to be wearing a weight belt at the wrong time. I say at the wrong time because I'm a fan of a weight belt. Believe it or not, wearing a weight belt actually helps you engage the core more. It doesn't take pressure off the core, it just helps you engage it. But what it can do is it can make it so you don't develop as much of the neural connection that you need to properly engage your abs without the belt. Okay, now when you look around a lot of people that are in great shape that do wear a belt from time to time actually have tremendous abs. But if you look around at people that are wearing the weight belt all the time with their gut hanging over it, well, those aren't exactly the kind of people that you want to model after. Wear it when you need it. Listen to your body, listen to when you need to engage your abs. And trust me, wearing a weight belt at the right time will help the abs pop more. Number 8, okay, the Journal of Strength and Conditioning published a really cool paper that showed that even being a slight bit dehydrated reduced lower leg power, peak power, by 18% and upper body power by 14%. So hydrate up. That is a huge percentage in power drop. That percentage in power drop is going to lead to, of course, less explosivity, less calories burned during a workout, and less overall, well, muscle recruitment, which is going to involve more recovery later on. Additionally, there are some studies that show that hydrating is going to increase thermogenesis quite tremendously. There's even some studies that show that you could have an increase as much as 15 to 30% in thermogenesis if you actually hydrate at specific points. Not saying that's going to happen all the time, but hydration is very critical for proper thermogenesis. Number 9 is not having fats in the morning. Look, there was a cool study published in BMC Medical Genomics that found that our fat utilization genes are higher in the morning. What that means is you can actually get away with eating more fat in the morning and your body would store less of it. There's a strong argument that when you consume too much fat, it can lead to insulin resistance, okay? But if you eat more of your fats in the morning, it's going to have less of a negative impact. So what do people normally eat in the morning? They usually think that's the time to have carbohydrates. Well, I understand that in theory, okay? But the reality is carbohydrates in the morning are just going to bring up your blood sugar and drop you later on. So we need to be allocating our carbohydrates later towards the end of the day if you're consuming carbohydrates. If you're doing a lower carb or ketogenic diet, stack most of your fats in the morning and taper them off as the day goes on. Number 10, when it comes down to getting your abs to pop and walking around with them showing year round, is proper diaphragmatic breathing, using true belly breathing. If you're not engaging your abs, you're not going to see them, okay? And it's not as much as just physically, mechanically crunching them like this. It's about actually being able to breathe and engage them properly. And trust me, once you can nail proper belly breathing while you're working out, look it up, do some research on it. You will find it makes a big difference. Number 11 is shying away from fats in the first place. Okay, I'm not saying you need to go eat a ton of them, but remember, try to seesaw some of your meals with carbohydrates and then some with fats, some with carbohydrates, some with fats. You need to condition your cells that it's okay to use fats. Develop the fat utilization enzymes, okay? This makes you what is called metabolically flexible. You don't want to be a one-trick pony. You don't want to be someone that's all ketogenic all the time and only can use fats, so when they use carbs, they just become glucose intolerant, or the opposite. You don't want to be using carbs all the time and never be able to metabolize fats properly, okay? You want to be able to be metabolically flexible. Give your body the fats. You need it for multiple functions, but you also need it so your mitochondria knows how to use it as a fuel source. That way, when you do go into a deficit, it can flip the gear and it can start using fat. Number 12 is a big one. Being afraid to push your cardio intensity. Okay, everyone thinks that low and slow burns fat. I understand because it puts you into the fat burning zone. I get it. I understand if you're looking at your heart rate, that's the idea. That's going to allow you to burn a better ratio of fat to overall calories, right? If you're going at a low intensity, more of the energy that you use is going to be derived from fat. But your overall net calories that you're actually burning is significantly less. So it's okay to push the intensity. Here's a fun thing to know. Once you start pushing the intensity, your body will start to adapt and learn to utilize fat at a higher percentage of your max heart rate. So an example is this. Right now, if you went out for a walk or a run, maybe 60-65% of your max heart rate would be where you're burning fat. But if you actually get yourself conditioned, you can push that number up to where your body starts using fat at a higher intensity too. Why is that good? Because if you start pushing your intensity to 80% and your body learns how to use fat at 80%, not just 60%, that's a heck of a lot more calories that you're burning from fat at a higher intensity, okay? The other thing we have to remember is with things like high intensity interval training, yes, you use more carbs for fuel during that time, but your body has to restore those carbohydrates in the way of glycogen. When it's going through its restorative phase, it's taking food that you consume and it's taking those carbohydrates and storing them in the muscle. So during that restorative process, your body has no choice but to be using fat as an energy source because it's busy taking your carbohydrates towards recovery, okay? So yes, even if you burn slightly less fat during your actual high intensity interval training, the overall time that you're burning fat after the workout is exponentially better. And number 13 is a big one, and that is nutrition and fat loss is subtractive, not additive. Supplementation is not necessarily going to help you burn more fat. Is there a reason? Yes, they come into play, absolutely. And there's ways that you can fill voids with your diet, absolutely. But remember, supplements aren't going to change the game. Nutrition is subtractive. You're going to have more results by removing something and increasing the cellular function and the mitochondrial function by removing something that's bad than you are by trying to add something in that's going to potentially offset that. So 13 ways that you can stay lean year round so that you can have that six pack. These are 13 things that people that have six packs do not do.